This is the story of what we'll call the Forgotten Birthright. It's a story recorded in the Bible, beginning in the Bible, of a story of rivalry between two brothers, twin brothers, and the consequences of what we shall term careless behaviour. Birthright is a right, by the very fact that you say it is birthright, and it begins with one's birth. Jacob and Esau are twin brothers, and the story is told in Genesis 26 about how Jacob, the younger brother, tricked his elder brother Esau into giving him his birthright, selling him his birthright, as it is recorded, for a mess of pottage, for a meal. Now, this is the first time that birthright is mentioned in the Bible, and its importance is very, very often and subsequently overlooked. The fact is, Jacob also tricked his father Isaac into giving him the blessing which should have been given to Esau. But that's a story for another day. The prophetic record of the vision, the way that the birthright would pass from Jacob to Joseph and to his descendants through the generations, is very direct, but it's overlooked. I would say it is forgotten. The birthright, having been valued by Jacob, had been sold to him, to Esau, for the price of a meal. Now this, let us remember, was a literal birthright, and it continued through Joseph, who, although thought to be dead, as you know from the well-known story, had been sold into Egypt and had actually become prime minister in this land. And when it was revealed that he had not died, it is said that he was yet alive, and that his descendants would inherit this birthright. When Jacob approached the end of his life, Joseph brought his two sons, that is, Ephraim and Manasseh, before the patriarch to be blessed by him. And it was then that a very remarkable thing took place. Joseph thought his father was actually making a mistake, because he crossed his arms over the boys, and so that the birthright actually was being given to the younger son and not to the elder son, Manasseh. Ephraim was getting the birthright. And this is recorded in Genesis 48. Jacob said he knew full well what he was doing, and that while Manasseh would become a great people, Ephraim would actually become greater through prestige and through the process of expansion, which is recorded quite clearly that he would grow into a multitude of people, a multitude of nations. Jacob, of course, then called all his sons to him so that he could bless each one of them in a very direct prophetic way. Wonderful vision. And it's important to notice that Reuben, although acknowledged to be the firstborn, did not receive the birthright. And this is confirmed later in 1 Chronicles chapter 5 in the first 2 verses. All the various blessings given to Jacob's sons are recorded in Genesis 49. I would like to concentrate on the blessing to Judah, because it's where the focus often comes, and where the birthright actually becomes forgotten. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, a well-known phrase, and it's very easy to connect King David of the tribe of Judah, and then most importantly to Jesus Christ, the Messiah. Each Christmas, as you know, these readings come clearly through from Isaiah and from Luke, confirming the prophecies relating to the Lord taking up government from the throne of David. And that is, that there has to be, the vision there is that there has to be a center of government. You cannot have a king returning without a kingdom. We cannot have a kingdom without a constitution. And we cannot have a constitution without a center of government. They are all dependent upon each other. And this is where the birthright comes directly into view. We must return to the birthright if we are to understand this great prophetic vision. What happened to the inheritors of this great blessing, and how can it be understood today? Has God kept his promises to the descendants of Ephraim and Manasseh? Very important. Covenant promises. Ephraim and Manasseh settled in the northern part of the promised land. And indeed, the whole northern kingdom was concentrated in that area, later becoming known as Ephraim. And the histories tell us that these people went away from God, and they went into all manner of sin. Eventually, they were judged, and the Assyrians swept down and took them into captivity, a huge number of people. In fact, something like 4/5 of the Hebrew race. Captive, swept away into Assyria. And the important thing is never to realize that they never returned to their original homeland. Does God keep his covenants? This is a vital thing for us to consider in terms of believing the Bible, believing God, trusting in God. And he tells us directly through the prophet Malachi, chapter 3, verse 6, "For I am the Lord, I change not." Can we believe it? Where are these people? What is their role today? This is a fascinating study. I recommend it to you, and we shall continue the story of this prophetic sign of Jacob crossing his arms at a future date.